Towards the end of December last year, I solicited some opinion from the readership of my blog and Instagram about what the next project should be. I had been thinking for a little while that I wanted to work on one of the more higher-end Seikos that I have in my collection, and so I assembled a cast of potential candidates, mixing King Seiko, Grand Seiko with a couple of classic 150 meter divers, and left it up to anyone who felt inclined to comment to express an opinion. The outcome of that process was actually a surprise to me. I had felt sure that perhaps one of the divers might rise to the top, or a Grand Seiko, but in fact one of the less assuming models seemed to catch the attention of people reading those posts, and this was the King Seiko officially certified Chronometer 5626 7041 with a blue dial. Anyway, this video is an account of the restoration and servicing of that watch to bring it from its rather sorry state initially into a rather more presentable state, and a watch that appears to be running like an absolute champ. Well, here's the watch at the start of the project. You can see that it's running, which is a good start. The crystal's not too bad, but you can see that there are a number of scratches on its surface, and there are nibbles around the hard edge around its circumference. The dial looks very nice indeed, and the case is what you might imagine of a reasonably well-used watch dating from 1974. The watch, when I received it, was not without some quite serious surface corrosion, particularly between the lugs. But I was able to clean most of that off reasonably easily before getting to the stage that you see it in now. Removing the bezel, and we can see that corrosion extends to the channel surrounding the crystal, but again it's not too bad, and I've made an initial clean at this stage. You can see from the serial number on the back of the watch that the watch dates from May 1974. If we pull the crown out to the first click position, which is the quickset position, we see, as anticipated with any 56 series Seiko, that neither the day or date quickset function works, and that's because the day-date corrector rocker lever has failed. Removing the case back, and we get our first look at the movement, and this really looks very clean indeed. One of the things I noticed here is that the screws, apart from the screw holding the rotor on, which you'll notice has a little bit of scuffing, the screws in the movement are largely unmarked as far as I can tell, which suggests possibly that this watch hasn't had a service since it originally emerged from the factory in 1974. Now, I didn't actually film any of the servicing of the movement, and so I'm going to illustrate that process by just running now a series of snapshots taken from photographs that are on the blog, and at appropriate points in the action we'll switch back to video to illustrate particular elements and outcomes of the process. Time to repair the quickset lever. Fit the balance, wind in some power, and away she goes. At this point we can perform an initial appraisal about the functioning of the repaired quickset lever, and you can see pulling the crown out to the first position and rotating anti-clockwise or clockwise, we see the lever swinging back and forth. And then if we pull the crown out to the time setting position, then you can see that the setting components of the movement correctly advance the movement. Once the date disc, date guards and day jumper have been refitted, we can put the repaired quickset lever through its paces. Again, with the crown out to the first click, if we rotate anti-clockwise, the lever swings over to the right and engages with the date wheel, advancing the date. If we rotate it clockwise, then the lever swings to the left, engaging with the intermediate day wheel, which would advance the day disc if it were fitted. And then if we pull the crown all the way out to the time setting position and rotate anti-clockwise, we advance the time to the point that eventually the day-date driving wheel interacts with the teeth on the circumference of the date disc and advance the date at what at that point would be around midnight. Well, here's the finished article. It looks all right, doesn't it? The crystals come out very nicely. The bracelet is, it is not mint, but it's in a condition which I think suits the overall condition of the watch, so it goes nicely together. One detail I rather like about this case is you see it's got brushed upper lugs and polished sides. But then as you turn it over towards the back, you'll see this edge along here has got vertical brushing on it. It's rather a beautiful detail. One of the main objectives of the service was to fix the broken day-date quickset function, and so we can just give that a workout now. In its rest position, winding the crown hand winds the movement. If you pull the crown out to the first position and rotate it clockwise, you can quick set the day, and that process is one which imparts very little torque on the star wheel on the quickset lever. If you rotate it anti-clockwise, then we can forward the date, and that's the one that presents the star wheel with the greatest resistance because of that big hefty jumper, but it's working flawlessly. And then second click and we can set the time. While we're at it, let's see at what point it changes the date. So it's 11 p.m. You can see it's a slow changeover. How about that? It's not bad, is it? So there we go. Not a bad result, I reckon.